So this MP4 shows you how to do problem number 7, and in particular 7C. So for 7A, we take a look at our spreadsheet, if we can get it here, and the children's Medicare percentage is 0.031, and the mean for all of the hospitals is 0.449. So that surely looks like it's different. Can we prove that statistically? So here's how we do that. We're going to do a z-test using Excel. And in first we look at the research question: is children's Medicare percent different from the other hospitals in the region? In step 1, we state the null hypothesis. And remember, we always do it in the inverse. So we're going to postulate that children's percentage is the same as the other hospitals in the region. This means our alternative hypothesis will be that children's percentage is different, and statistically. In step 3, we ask what level of confidence do we want? Well, it's 95, and as given in the problem itself, the critical z for this is 1.96. If our observed z is greater than 1.596, you're going to reject the null hypothesis and conclude that children's is significantly different from the other hospitals. Similarly, if the observed z is less than 1.96, you'll reject the null and conclude that they're significantly different. If the observed z is between minus 1.96 and plus 1.96, we accept the null and conclude no difference. Step 3, let's get the data from Blackboard, assignment data 2, and here's the data that I've downloaded. You can do that by clicking on that link in the problem. So in the first column, step 4, find the mean for the area hospitals. You can include children or not. And as you can see from here, the command average B2 to B29 gives you the group average, which is 0.449. And then we find the mean of the group of hospitals. We find the mean of children's, which, as we saw, was 0.031. In step 6, we find the difference between children's and the group, and that's in this cell right here. So plus group mean minus children's is that difference in means, 0.42. In step 7, we find the number of observations, and from row 2 to row 29, right, is 28 hospitals. And then we take the square root of the number of observations. So here's number of cases, and here's its square root, 5.29. And in step 8, we calculate the standard deviation, which is right here. We subtracted the mean from each of the observations, the group mean. That gave us a difference, B2 minus C2, and we square that difference. We sum the squares and divide by the number of cases to get the variance, and then take the square root of that to get the standard deviation. So that's 0.13. So we divide the square root of the number of observations into the standard deviations, in the next step. And that gives us this value, 0.024716. And then to calculate our observed z, this is step 10, we divide this derived value from step 6 into the difference in the means, which was here, and that gives us our observed z of 16.94. Since this is much bigger than our critical z, we're going to reject the null hypothesis and accept the alternative, that children's Medicare percentage is significantly different from the rest of the hospitals in the region. For the second part of question 7, we're going to ask whether Jefferson Regional is Jefferson Regional different from the group. Same steps. In fact, since the standard deviation and the square root of n is going to be the same, the only thing that's going to change is going to be the difference in the means between Jefferson Regional and the group. So here I just copied that entire spreadsheet, and instead of looking at children's, we do Jefferson Regional, which is E32. I'm sorry. The difference in means is B29 minus C29. So Jefferson Regional versus the mean, and that will change this. So our difference in means here is 0.13. And that will change our observed z to 5.32. But since it's larger again, we're going to reject the null even for Jefferson Regional. So I hope you have been able to follow this and see if you can replicate both of these spreadsheets.